Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan, and I have Casey here with me.
Hey, everyone.
There's Casey. And so this is I'm a BCBA Now What remix course. So if you've ever seen on YouTube or popped into our other I'm a BCBA Now What course, this would be like the sister, cool, trendy, best friend, cousin relation to that course. And the reason I say that is because there are some of the stuff that we will go over really quickly that's a little similar, but in this context, there's a reason as to why. So before I get started, who are we? I just introduced us. I'm Jordan, and Casey's over there. And we are part of Study Notes ABA. And specifically today, we're going to talk about our CEU division, which is called CEUs by Study Notes ABA, in case you didn't know. So what we'll go over today, we'll look at how, just really quickly, how to navigate the BACB website. The reason that this is on here is because I constantly find myself getting emails or Facebook messages or Instagram messages just as some of these basic functions. So I wanted to go over them and provide a place to go back to if you're trying to remember exactly where you heard that you found something. Well, here it is. And then we'll talk just a little bit about CEUs and give you a brief overview of what to look at, what to expect. And then finally, our behavior bootcamp Q&A. I've thought of some questions. These are questions that I get frequently, but also opening up the floor to any of you. If you have questions, comments, anything you want to ask, that's what this is here for. So navigating the BACB website. So I wanted to start here by showing this really, really cool resource, which is right here and highlighted in pink, because the BACB allows us to get access to their library of articles. So if you've ever tried to get to an article and seen that it's behind a paywall, or it says, oh, you have to pay this much money to this journal or this publisher, I guess is the word usually used, then this is a way to not circumvent it, because you have paid access through the BACB, which is a really cool thing, especially when you're creating CEU courses, or even in terms of, let's say I have a client, and this client, I really want to find some research and I don't really know where to look. So what I might do is I might look at the resources and start to type some keywords into any of these journals. And I might be able to find some research that may or may not relate to the individual that I'm working with, and looking for maybe protocols, maybe some procedures. Maybe I see that there's a particular author that has multiple references or multiple articles about a topic. Maybe then I can reach out to that author and email them and say, hey, I love all of your research on X, Y, and Z. Is there any insight that you can provide me to maybe this concept, this principle? And sometimes they might even respond, hey, I'm so glad you asked, because 9 times out of 10, it is so, I can only think about how exciting it must be for someone to read, email about somebody reading your work. But also, a lot of these authors have continuing education courses or PowerPoints or conferences that they've spoken at. So you might even stumble into some sort of even deeper learning situation. Now, navigating the BACB website, here we are again talking about continuing education. This is how you log in your hours. So you have to do that all on your own. So unless you're taking a course that is by the BACB, every CEU credit and course you take, you got to log it in through this portal here.
And I'm just going to interrupt for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
You keep a cute little folder. This one says work for it, and it is titled CEUs, and I have dates on which one, because you need to print your certificate. Now, I'm big on printing certificates because I think that they are very nice to have, and it's like a badge of honor. And then you just go in and you enter that number into your BACB. If they audit you, this folder will save my audit life, okay? I don't need to go back to every email, and I don't know where the hell I got that TexABA one from, right? Nope. Keep them in a folder, print them out. I know we want to save trees. Maybe save them on a computer folder if that's what you want to do. But I really suggest that you don't just enter them and then say, I'll forget about it in my email. Please keep them in a safe space, because if you get audited, you need to be able to prove it, right? So I have them all here in a nice, pretty folder. So I could be like, yes, here you go, BACB. You're good. We're good. Thank you.
I have the same thing, but digitally. But actually, Casey, how did you know So on the CEU website, we actually have a way for you to track this on your own. So I skipped ahead just a little bit. So I scrolled through a few of the slides. I'll go back for them. But I created this. I guess it's a little blurry now in hindsight, and I apologize. But again, first time using Canva. So here we are. But on this, you can see that you can put in the course title, the company that you did it with. So then if you can't find the certificate, you can search in your email at CEUs by STUDYNOTESABA and see when we've emailed you, the date completed, what type of CEU, the specific credits, and I'll break that down in just a bit. And the best thing about it, the reason that it is in the format and file that it is because there's a math equation set up that tells you exactly how many credits you've earned and how many credits are remaining. So it may seem silly, but after you recertify, like I'm going to be going on my 4th time. I was like, I don't remember any of the CEU courses that I took when I first passed. Like I don't. You think that you do. I thought I was going to, but I don't. If somebody like asked me and was like, oh, did you take this course in 2016, 2017? My response might've been like, no. And they were like, yeah, you did. You like put it in. And I was like, oh, or vice versa. They'd be like, do you take it? I'm like, maybe. I'm not really sure. Right. So there's a good way to write it down. You can also write there's other options that you can add information if you want. You can create a separate sheet. It's an Excel file, so you can add extra sheets. The way that I laid it out is that the sheets can be every 2-year research, but I'm going really deep into this. Use it as you want. Remember to write things down and remember that this is important stuff just to keep just in case. So let me go back really quickly. Something else that we also made, which you can also find on the CEU website, and this is where you can find it. It's also under resources, is this file document that is the step-by-step of how to upload any CEUs to the BACB website. I made a task analysis and then I made it pretty. So feel free. Again, these resources are made for all of you. It brings me so much joy when people are downloading them and using them. So please, if this is something that you like, download it, use it, and let me know if there's ever any resources that you feel like you would like to see, and then I can try and work that out. And then, so next to your continuing education, I know long tangent, but we're back, BACB website tips and tricks. Now we're back. So we went over the continuing education tab and the resources tab, and now the 8-hour supervision training tab. So if at any point you are required to take your 8-hour supervision, that's where you would go. And then you'll follow the steps to complete that as once you click this, but mine's completed, so you can't do the click through. Get credit. What does that mean? So if you are taking CEU credits and you have your BACB certification, this is for the BACB certification only. This logo, icon, ACE provider logo from the BACB is required to be on any sort of website, company, business, continuing education event. It's supposed to be present somewhere. This lets you know that the people that are giving credits can actually give you credit. I have not seen any fake websites yet, so that is not a concern, but I did notice that once I spoke about it in the last I'm a BCBA What Now, we got a lot of questions like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. It's a thing. Look for it. You'll probably find it on the FAQ page of a website or how it works. You might find it on a website at the bottom, like they call it the footer, all the way at the bottom. It should be somewhere. It is a requirement by the BACB to have it somewhere. So that's what that one looks like. There are other, if you're with the QABF, is that what it is? Nope, that might be the QABA.
I think QABF is like a
QABF is the yes. I was like, wait, that did not come out right. The QABA, they have a different logo. They have a different certification process. So just make sure that for whatever license that you have, you're getting the right continuing ed credits. Okay, now continuing on how to make sure you get credit. So your requirement is 32 CEUs every 2 years. That doesn't mean that you have to only take 32, but the requirement for the BACB website in order to recertify is to have 32 credits every 2 years. And of those 32, what you're going to see is this is your, oh, I thought that was a different breakdown. Never mind. I thought that was a different circle graph, but you're going to need 4 in ethics and 3 in supervision if you've taken the 8-hour course. So let me break that down. I'm a brand new BCBA. I just passed. I start taking CEUs. My work tells me, okay, you are going to start supervising. Go take your 8-hour course. So I have 8 hours of supervision that goes into my portal or in my file. Now that counts of my 32, that counts for 8, but it only fulfills my supervision credits. So 8 overall, it gets added minus 32. That's at 20. Oh no, fast math. 2, 6, 24. Sorry, that took way too long. 24. Oops. Math is not my math is not my strong suit. So then you have 24 credits left. You've met your supervision, but ethics you still have to meet plus those 24 credits. Did I lose anyone there during my math equation? Anyone?
Just what I recommend as a BCBA, I think that it is our ethical code to go above and beyond what we are supposed to meet. And I think that if you're in this field, you're in it because you want to learn and you want to be the best BCBA and the most ethical. So if you're just in it to hit your 32, I mean, that's fine. But if I were to give any piece of advice, is that the biggest thing I learned in my first 2 years was from getting CEUs. And I think I probably hit like 85. And for no other reason than I wanted to learn, right? I didn't care about the number. I wanted to learn. So I think that's a big thing too for people in the field. I know it gets costly, but there's a lot of things out there you can also find that don't cost as much. But honestly, don't be like, oh my God, I have to hit 32 and I'm only going to hit that. Like, I went above and beyond. And I think that that makes you a better practitioner when you have a multiple stream of CEUs.
Yeah, my first year, I remember I did that like thing where I was like, oh, just 32, that's fine, whatever. And now I make CEUs for a living. So you never know how, where you're gonna end up in 6, 7 years from then. But also, so there's also this weird thing, and this is like not like set in stone, but there is this thing where people, and Casey, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I've never put in more than the required amount in my portal. I've just left it as like, I've taken them for fun.
So I just recertified or in February, I recertified for 2 years. And I put 54 because that's what I had 54. I had other ones that I didn't even remember where they even sent me the CEUs. So I like definitely left out a lot, but I put 54 in and I got recertified. So
perfect. Yeah. So Casey put the ones that she definitely had in her folder, it seems like.
Oh, if it's in here, it's in my.
And the second part about understanding the CEU types, and you can find all of this on the BCBA website, but you know, I just wanted to go over it because again, we get a bunch of these questions. So I figured why not do it before we do a Q&A for CEUs, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And there are 3 different like CEU types or designations, and the 3 different ones, they're called learning. So what does that mean? That means attending a CEU event offered by an ACE provider. So coming to any CEU by STUDYNOTES ABA event, or going to any of your, you know, maybe your state specific ABA conference. So in New York, we call it NISABA. In Texas, they call it TechSABA. What do you call it? NHABA case?
NHABA, New Hampshire ABA.
NHABA, they don't slur it all together. Just mean New York, Texas,
like,
Flava, Calaba. Anywho, I digress. So the other ones that you can get in learning are completing behavior analytic grad courses. And I would make sure that you speak to whoever's running that program about that, because I do not know, because they recently changed the names that they call the ways that you can get CEUs. So you can also do it by going to school. You can also do it by participating in BACB certification activities. Again, that would have to be through your own experience. I can't provide any insight on that. With teaching, so if you teach a CEU, you can get credit. And that would be, you would go through whoever you're teaching the CEU with. And also if you teach a university course at a qualifying institution, again, most likely you'd have to go through your institution to determine that you can get credits. But like Casey said, we should always be learning. So it's great if we could earn all of the credits from teaching, but we should also be attending some CEUs. to make sure that we are always pushing our knowledge and our understanding. And finally, the third type is scholarship, which is publishing an article in a journal or writing a review or a decision. And I just showed you all this. So this is our tracker that I made for anyone who wants it. If you don't, that's okay. I promise I won't be offended. If you want to make your own version, that's great. Go for it. And okay, now we're up to the behavior bootcamp Q&A. It is weird because like I don't have the slides all coming up. So I apologize if it seems a little abrupt.
Canva's like, they're not slides.
I downloaded it as a PDF. There is, full disclosure, there is an option for PowerPoint. I was just, I'm not
So Jordan,
good with
can I
change.
preface a little bit about
yeah, go for
anyone
it.
in here that's a new BCBA, and even if you're not, if you are someone who is like, fuck, sorry, Jordan, I'm going to swear during this.
That's okay.
I am so like, I feel like I passed, or even if I'm an RBT or whatever, and I'm going for, you know, my BCBA, whatever it is, and I don't know anything about assessments. And I feel so stupid going into this job if they ask me what assessments I have training on. And I'm like, well, I watched a VD map done once, right? Like a lot of us don't have this training. You're not alone, okay? It is okay to admit and be transparent and honest of your level that you have, your scope of competency, right? Like there's a difference between scope of competency and scope of practice. So when you are a BCBA, your scope of practice encompasses the entire ethics code, right? But there's also a thing called scope of competency. So maybe you haven't worked with a certain assessment, or you haven't worked with a certain behavior, and that is okay. And it is okay to be transparent and honest about that. That is your ethical code. Now, there are some things that I wish I had that Jordan has, like when I sat through these behavior boot camp with Jordan, it's funny because Liat and I are such different human beings, where she is like not a CEU person and I am, and I love to learn. And learning the stuff that these 4 classes get you through is what you need as your almost like a first day on the job. Like it brings you through how to do assessments, man training, pairing, what are the like problem behaviors that you're going to see. And my most favorite thing that I took away, because I'm also someone who I need resources. I can't just go into a CEU and have nothing to take with me. Like I think it's pointless. I literally don't remember. So it has all these worksheets that you need. Like, hey, here's all the things that Jordan creates is so amazing. And Jordan's probably feeling super uncomfortable right now.
Okay. No, honestly, I'm feeling it today. You know,
But
I'm not feeling spicy, but I'm into the compliment.
But like every single worksheet that you get is invaluable. You can take it and use it in your practice tomorrow. Like I got put into a job as a clinical director the day I passed my exam. Was I ready for that? Fuck no. Was I terrified and going every day into my job being like, I'm flying by the seat of my pants? Yep. Was I sitting in my office every day trying to Google how, what form I needed to create? Yes. This takes that away from having to do that. There are so many options in these courses that I felt like, oh my God, finally something that like, as a new BCBA, I have this amazing boot camp weekend where I can go and have all of these things that I need for my beginning BCBA job. So Jordan, thank you so much for doing this. I could never have done it because I'm not organized at all. I'm more of a teacher and like all that, but you're great. So
my brain, yeah. So, and pretty much what Behavior Bootcamp is just a cool iteration that we made for a 4-course series. And the 4-course series, like Casey was saying, goes over problem behavior, and they all have really funny names, which I've now learned in hindsight that having such different names from the content is not good for SEO or marketing, but at Study Notes, we say F all that, right? So the courses are problem behavior, pairing, manding, and assessment. And as Casey said, it's a 2-day, 13 CEU weekend. So it's a lot of energy and time. But at the same time, what I've tried to do is make a virtual CEU, just like, how Study Notes has like incredible, well, I'll answer this question, right? Like the notes that they draw during the collective are incredible. I am not that talented, and I know a lot of people are not that talented. So we won't be drawing pretty notes when it comes to, you know, a CEU course, but instead, like Casey mentioned, we will be giving tons of handouts that are data sheets, handouts that are protocols and procedures written out with the citations embedded into them. So you can see exactly where maybe a step of a protocol or a procedure was pulled from. I always like to have it because something that happens, and the more that CEUs are online, the more that I've seen this continue to perpetuate. And it was interesting because this was even prior to the design was created prior to me seeing this constantly. But when COVID happened, a lot of CEUs went online. And what we started to see was that the author or the presenter or the teacher would say something like, oh, I wrote this article, or, oh, like, this is a worksheet that you can find. Oh, and then the entire chat box for the next 5 minutes was not listening to the presenter, but rather 150 to 200 BCBAs, all using their like FBI internet sleuthing skills to try and find, you know, this one person's Facebook that shared it one time in this group and that group. And then everyone's entire concentration is shifted from learning the content in the course to finding the handout. So that was the, you know, the kind of the trade-off. I won't draw pretty notes, but I promise you will leave with at least, I think the course with the smallest amount of handouts is probably 12 or 15.
And I want to say real quick, because I have to leave actually in a little while, because my husband and I have Seinfeld trivia tonight and I can't lose date night. But have you ever, as a BCBA, wanted a flow chart, right? For, hey, guess what? Shit isn't perfect. What if the child doesn't man? What if they emit problem behavior? What if your staff, right, doesn't do X, Y, or Z? Like, that's the other thing that I was so obsessed with these courses, is that Jordan puts together these, like, you see her CEU flow thing, like, that she had. There's flow charts for like, hey, what now if this happens in real life, right? It's like total real life, like examples and flow charts where you're like, I can implement this with my staff tomorrow. I can implement this with a client tomorrow. And one more thing before I keep tooting your horn, but I have to, because you're so good. But there's no one I've ever met, and I've been doing this for a while, that knows more about verbal behavior than this bitch. Okay, so man training is so important. If we can get our clients to manned and we can pair with them, we are going to have so much better of an outcome with them, with their stakeholders, the family, right? So like the things that seem simple and easy, manding and pairing, right? Like, oh, that's common sense. Well, it's not. And a lot of people don't have those skills. And the way she breaks it down, you're going to be mind blown. So there's a link. I put it in the chat to sign up for it. If you guys have any questions, if anyone in here is studying, they can come and also contact me at contact@studynotesaba.com. But Jordan, honestly, you are such a rock star, and I can't wait to sit through it again with you on the 17th and 18th. And the 17th is actually my husband's birthday, and I'm still going to be there with you for 8 hours.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
No, I'll tell him. I'll go play Seinfeld trivia to make it up for him.
Yeah. Bye, Case. We'll see you in a little, or tomorrow, whatever day, whatever this is. And so, you know, talking about like, you know, using things, right? Again, like I am working on, you know, introducing myself to the Study Notes ABA community. And my favorite thing to say is to work smarter, not harder. You know, just because I made a worksheet or a data sheet, why am I going to make everyone else work harder and reinvent the wheel? Let's all work smarter together. Because if we can spend less time making all these data sheets perfect and aligning them, because trust me, it takes a lot of time sometimes to align a data sheet, then we can do better things with our clients. We can do better research. We can spend more time being creative, being fun, you know, inventing new things, creating new things, finding out, you know, new protocols, procedures. So that is truly the idea behind why we're doing it. It's not so that we can just say that we're doing it. There's actually rationale behind it. And when talking about behavior bootcamp and like what to expect, also what to expect in like CEUs in general, it really is to grow your learning. So I think that we've seen that some of the interesting feedback and comments that we've gotten my biggest thing is I always look at the comments that are constructive and the criticism, right? So the biggest criticism that we got was it wasn't the collective. You know, you didn't go through each definition and each bullet point. You didn't break it down. You didn't give me a hashtag for everything to remember. You didn't make a funny, inappropriate joke. And the reason behind that is CEUs and boot camp in general is to help just grow knowledge, and the time and intensity and specificity that we can provide in a study prep is very different from a CEU. CEUs, you might have to do some research after the course, which I know sounds frustrating, but there's a reason behind it. That means a concept or a principle is more advanced than just a definition, a few examples, an application. It actually makes you need to take the time to find that research, find the purpose. What was the purpose behind that author's research? Why were they doing it? What was the problem that they were looking to solve? And that's what CEUs do too. They say, okay, here's an overall goal. Here's an overall idea. Here are some of the problems that I'm seeing. Here's how I have solved it. Or some of my favorite CEUs are, I have not yet solved this issue. These are the things that I'm seeing. To all of you of my students that are listening, I would love for any of you to, go out and research this, go out and help build our field, disseminate the science. So again, expectations is a little bit different in that there might be some extra legwork or, working out that you have to do on your own, just to stick with like the workout boot camp puns. But it is still really fun to learn. And I don't know, I always love being able to, learn a new topic or a little bit about it. And then I go down rabbit holes and I'm like finding out all about like, oh, what's some more research? Can I find more CEUs? So it really is just a taste test of specific concepts, principles, protocols, ideas, depending on, the purpose of the course. So the CEU courses that I've created at Behavior Bootcamp, the idea behind it is to get us as practitioners really good at understanding how to disseminate some things. That's a lot of the intention behind my courses, and you can tell that by the handouts. We also have breakout activities where you get broken into groups automatically by Zoom and you get to talk things out. And also I created these embedded Q&As because we were seeing that 13 hours is a really long time. I can hear myself talk forever. I know that some of the other Snabble ladies as well, we can hear ourselves talk for a really long time, but that's not always the best for everyone. So allowing for opportunities to take a break, for some people to debrief, to ask questions, to have time embedded, something that we were seeing. And again, this is not to tell you, oh, we've perfected everything, but I want to tell you that we're humans too, and we're always making things better. So some of the other things that we learned from the previous boot camp was that we didn't give enough time for questions. So now we're embedding Q&A breaks. So if there was a concept or principle, you'll know exactly when their Q&A break is coming up. So you can ask your question and have it answered in live real time. And I feel like I'm jumping a little bit all over the place, so I appreciate you all bearing with me. So what does each course cover? The 4 courses, as I mentioned, the topics are problem behavior, pairing, manding, and assessment. When talking about our problem behavior course, I would say, think about a course of like really understanding why a really well-written BIP or behavior intervention plan is going to fail. And the reason why might it have failed? How can I combat a BIP failing? Because from my own experience, I had written what I thought were really great behavior intervention plans. I thought that they were sound. I gave evidence-based protocols and procedures, appropriate replacement behaviors, teaching opportunities. But, sometimes why do they fail? And that's one of the questions that I answer throughout it, and how to ensure that you and your team are making sure to keep your eye on the ball and making sure that any plan in place is actually in place to the extent that it was created. With the pairing course, I would say that it's really interesting because the pairing course, the word pairing is not in Cooper. It's not in the 2nd edition or the 3rd edition, which was why I made this course, because I wanted to, create a course that it's not something that you may find every day. It's not a course that you can easily find for CEUs, and it's definitely not one that has a lot of research. So I really wanted to create one where you can operationally define the different behaviors that you may be looking for. Something in my history has taught me that it's really difficult to just say, okay, pair with that individual. We have to get deeper. We have to understand why. So there are things in this course like self checklists that you can use on yourself. You can train your staff on how to use them on their selves, and they can look through it and determine, oh, am I doing this behavior to engage in pairing or am I not? For our manning course, as Casey mentioned, we got to go through why things fail or what happens when there's an error, right? There's so many protocols and procedures that I can follow, and that's great. However, if you've ever tried to run things in real life, you usually will realize, there's something different between, like, maybe the protocol is written technologically where I can follow each step. However, my participant, my student, my client, my stakeholder, they're not doing what the kid or the individual in that article did. They're not doing the same things, right? So it'll help you work through some of those. And then with assessment, so that's the final course. And that course, I wanted to make sure that I didn't go about just talking about one assessment, rather looking at the behaviors that we as practitioners can engage in to make sure that we are planning appropriately for an assessment. I know that there's a lot of CEUs out there or workshops to help you with assessment. And my biggest recommendation is for specific assessments, and I go through it in the course. Always go to the author, right? I'm not going to be able, maybe I think of some cool tips and tricks as to how to assess on this using this assessment or this sort of curriculum. But at the end of the day, I'm not the author. And a lot of my learning of understanding assessments has been taking CEUs provided by those authors. So instead of trying to one up the people that literally wrote the books, I created an assessment CEU that will help you to look at all the behaviors that you can learn and the different systematic processes that you can put in to prepare for an assessment or an intake. Sometimes those words are used interchangeably. And now, so what do you need to bring? Just your files, the downloadable files, a computer charger, and a strong cup of coffee, I would say. You can bring notebooks. I don't foresee it being like the collective opportunity. I've sat in tons of the collectives and I've watched, where I'm not going to say, okay, draw a big circle here, and this is what we're going to draw, and this is our hashtag. But whatever, materials that you need to best situate yourself for learning in that moment. And will there be a video later like the collective? So yes, you will be able to re-watch the video. However, and this bleeds into the next point, how do I get credit? If you are purchasing a live course and you are not attending the live course itself, you will not be able to get credit. And the reason is because when I upload the video from the live, I actually cut out the credit or the CEU code words intentionally when I upload it to your portal. So I highly, highly recommend that if you are not going to be able to make it to a live, you can purchase a recording, and then you will have access to that to watch at your own time. But if you're attending the live and you thought I said something really funny, or you really enjoyed a point that I made, or, a back and forth that we've had, or a conversation that I had with somebody, or even a question that I answered, that will all be in there. Just the way to get credit will be cut out. So just make sure if you're purchasing a live course that you can attend that live. And we pretty much, on CEUs, we pretty much are going to try to have every single course that we have live as an option for recording. But we will let you know if there are any situations where, for whatever reason, there is only a live event. And as I mentioned, getting credit. So there will be code words that'll be your proof of attendance. We have sheets, and you'll get, if you purchase the Behavior Bootcamp, you'll see there's this whole long-winded email. It'll explain exactly there how to get credit and how to find the code words, as well as provide you options of downloadable documents, because I just truly can't help myself, of a way to, write down the credit or the code words as you go through. And then this is I think the last slide before I open it up to any questions that anyone might have. What if you need help? You can email me via email at ceu@studynotesaba.com if there are any sort of issues, questions, if you are having Wi-Fi issues, if your course is being funky, if your login is being weird, if you just want to say hi, you can contact me here, ceu@studynotesaba.com. And let's see, what if I have questions? Again, If you have any questions during the CEU, I recommend that you hang on until the Q&A break, because what we were also noticing is that the chat box function, like I can't, just being human, I can't teach and read the chat box and keep up and remember to get all the points that I want to get across during a presentation at the same time. So I do recommend that if there are any questions during a live course, that you write it down and wait till a Q&A break. And if it is during a recorded course, you can of course email us immediately if there's anything that comes up. And yeah, does anybody have any other questions, any comments, any concerns, anything? I know that was fast, but I wanted to get it, good and quick. For right now, for all of our CEUs, there's a 90-day access period. So from the day of purchase, so if let's say you purchased a recorded course today, you'll have 90 days from the day of purchase. If for any reason something comes up and there's an emergency or there's a blackout and snow in Texas and you don't have Wi-Fi or power for days, shoot us an email, CEU@studynotesaba.com, and we can help you to rectify that situation. But we try and give 90 days for a few reasons, but one of them is just to make sure that our courses are updated. We don't want you to purchase a course from us and then there's a different iteration that comes out and maybe some of the research has changed, maybe some new points are made, maybe there is some new research that wants to be incorporated. We want to make sure that our courses are up to date on all that. So that is why we have the 90-day turnover period. Or concerns, then we can end, but I'll stay for 3 more minutes. And yes, there will be a recording of this. I'm going to stop the recording now so that we can upload it to our YouTube. And that I think is it. But let me just share the screen one more time. If there are any questions, this is where you can reach me. This is where you can contact me, even if it is just to say hi. Feel free to reach out. This video will be going on the YouTube, and that's it. I hope you all have a great night, afternoon, depending on where you're coming from, and hope to see you or some of you in boot camp. Now, let me figure out how to stop the recording. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.